Hello, YouTube. I'd like to talk today. I'd like to talk today about things that caught me off guard when I first moved to Japan. The first of which being that since I'm filming this on my iPhone, that get a smartphone. When I got here and my supervisor took me out to get like necessities for the apartment, on the way back she asked if I wanted to stop and get a phone, and I said yeah. And she asked, "What do you want a phone for?" And I said, "Well, I would like to be able to call people and text people." So she recommended that I did not get a smartphone because it was really expensive. And I was kind of jet lagged, and it was a poor decision on my part. But I signed the 2 year contract for a flip phone. And a month into it, I regretted it, like fully regretted it, because it's just really hard to use, and all the messages you get are in Japanese, and there's a limited amount of things that you can do with that. So I went back 2 months later, and with some help, and went to upgrade to a iPhone, which means I had to pay to cancel the other phone, and then I still had to pay until like the end of this month for it. So even though it's a useless piece of plastic now, I'm still paying for it. Not the end of the world, but just invest in an iPhone. It's a lot easier, especially for looking up train schedules and translating Japanese and looking up words, and it just makes your life a lot easier. Really, I highly recommend it. The other thing is internet, which was not straightforward at all. When I got here, there was no internet in the apartment, and so the first step was you have to apply for internet. And so I did at a friend's house, and then they sent me an email with a phone number and a confirmation code. So I called the phone number and gave the person the confirmation code, and then paid. I was required to pay by credit card for the modem, which they were going to send, and for this internet service, which credit cards are not like I guess, a regular thing in Japan. It's a cash society. But I luckily got a credit card that doesn't have an international transaction fee, so I'm glad I did that. So I paid for it. It wasn't terribly expensive. And then they required for me to scan my ID, which you'll get when you arrive in the airport in Japan, or maybe the town hall will give it to you when you arrive in your city, and scan it and send it through email. Which, by the way, all these things are complicated to do to get internet when you don't have internet. So that's interesting. So you'll need help. Um, and on that subject, then there's no Wi-Fi. So 2 weeks later, after they sent me my modem, I had brought a router, which is what you need for Wi-Fi, but it doesn't work. Not all routers work in Japan. So I actually had to invest in an Apple Airport router, which works great, and like apparently it works all over the world. So that's another tip. Let's see what else. The Maybe a suggestion is have somebody try to explain the train schedules to you when you arrive, because it's not immediately obvious. Especially like the ticket buying machines sometimes don't have the English option, and it just helps to have like an idea of like which lines go where. Other than that, transport on trains is easy and it's great. Um, Convenience stores here, they are good. Like they're not crappy food like Slim Jims and Pringles and stuff like they are in America. Like there's good food. There's like chicken and rice and like udon and like actual food that you could have a legitimate lunch with. You can also pay your credit card bill or pay for bus reservations and stuff at the Konbini. Konbini is short for a convenience store, just to be clear. I was thrown off by that a little bit too. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a sore throat today. There's a lot of yelling in class. Um, the coins in Japan, another thing that not threw me off, but I was kind of underestimated the worth of coins, because I didn't like to walk around with a lot of coins in my pocket in the US. They're worth 25 cents at the most. And here, like, they're worth $5 at the most, like 500 yen coins, and then down from that is 100 yen, which is about a dollar. And it goes, in denominations from there. So I would recommend you invest in a little coin purse, makes things a lot easier, unless you don't mind clinging around when you walk. Um, Another thing is trash and recycling here is a bit more complex than it is there. There's a lot of recycling categories and a lot of trash categories, and different trash is collected on different days. There's a schedule for it. I mean, like bottle caps are recycled in a different place than the bottles. Little things like that. You'll get used to it. And this is like the biggest thing for me. This one caught me off guard, like hard. Unfortunately, in my first month here, at the end of my first month here, um, I passed a kidney stone. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. But it sucks. It hurts like a mother. It hurts, man. It was horrible. Luckily, I live not that far from the hospital, so I stumbled my way over there at night, like 9 p.m., and walked in pain, and was just like, itai, uh, eigo, which is pain and English and the little Japanese I could muster. And they were really nice. They put me in a wheelchair and wheeled me over and put me on a bed and gave me intravenous fluids with pain medication in it, which literally did nothing. Um, but I felt a lot better because when you have a kidney stone, you're extremely tired, and part of the reason you're tired is because you're like throwing up all the time and nauseous. That's another thing. Um, and so somebody came that spoke a little more English, and they said, "Well, how is your pain?" And I said, "Horrible." And they said, "Well, here, take this pill." And like it was really, really big. Like I mean, and I was like, "How am I supposed to swallow that?" And they explained to me that no, you don't swallow it. You put it in your butt. That caught me off guard. Uh, so, um, and they said, if your pain persists, then you have no choice. We will assist you with this pill. And so I kept quiet, but it persisted. The pain did. But I wasn't down with that. I mean, biologically speaking, there's a lot more veins in your rear end, so it absorbs into your body faster and takes effect a lot faster than, for example, if you were to ingest it through your mouth. But I was just not prepared for that. But that's the thing. Apparently, it's a lot more common here than it is in the U.S. Like I was never offered that option in the U.S. It just didn't happen. Um, anyway, those are the biggest things that caught me off guard. There's a bunch of other, like every day there's a little, little something, but I think those are the biggest things for me. And anyway, yeah. So those are the things that caught me off guard. Um, I'm gonna keep making these videos, and I'd like next time I think I'd like to talk about actually. I'd like to give a shout out, I guess, to Robert Teo and Jack Switcher, with which both sent me messages on YouTube. Thanks, you guys. That's makes me all giddy to have like subscribers. It's a cool thing. Makes me feel special. But Jack asked me, what else can I explain about being an upgraded ALT? And so, what I'll talk about next time is I'll sit down and make a list of sort of the process from when I got the call to when I actually arrived in Japan. And dude, it's like being an alternate ALT is like, it's tough. Like, what do you do? Do you put your life on hold? How long do you wait? I mean, I gave up honestly before I was upgraded. I was upgraded really late, and only because my predecessor broke her contract and left early, which I guess is not that common. Um, but yeah, I feel you guys' pain. Believe me. Uh, hang in there. Yeah, and I'll talk about what it was like for me and the whole thing in the next week or so, like that, something like that. Yeah, in the next week I'll do it. Okay.